Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Happy Monday morning. I hope everyone's all right, everyone's okay, and looking after themselves. In this video, we are talking surrounding Rodrigo Bentancur. We have reports coming from quite a few different places, but mostly surrounding Atletico Madrid having interest in Rodrigo Bentancur. We're also going to be talking about Bentancur in terms of contract talks and where they may be. We have updates surrounding quotes from Romero talking about his injury recovery. Nico Paz. I think there's even some chatter around Mauricio Pochettino. So we've got a lot to get through. So I'm not going to stall this morning. I'm not going to take too long of your time. I'm going to get in there and get talking. Obviously, Spurs don't play till next week. So officially, I can't say welcome to a Spurs game week really until tomorrow. So I have to hold off there. Morning, Sonia, Spurs, Yvonne, Kookaburra, Jake, Jazz. How are we all? Right, let's talk about Rodrigo Bentancur. So the situation, as we know, with Rodrigo Bentancur at present, okay, he has 1 year left on his contract come the summertime. He's in his late 20s. Normally, that's the time that you look to aim to move off of players, unless obviously they're, the top end talents, the Mohamed Salahs, the Harry Kanes right now, where they're at a different level compared to players obviously a lot younger than them, right? Rodrigo, obviously, having had quite a ropey couple of years with obviously the ACL injury, the concussions, obviously the suspension. He's had a lot of stop starting. There's times where he has a couple of games going through and he looks really good, and there's a couple of times where the performances don't reach what we expect of Bentancur, and that's fair to say. There's nothing wrong with that. I think we can all agree that on his day, he's still phenomenal. It's just how often do those days come around, and are they consistent enough? I mean, looking at him against Argentina the other night, he was magnificent. So let's start with the contract update. So Graham Bailey has said that Tottenham are keen for Rodrigo Bentancur to sign a new deal. Spurs already start talks with Bentancur over a new deal. Both Tottenham and Bentancur are happy with each other and plan to assess the situation during talks. Look, I think with Bentancur, I do really like Bentancur, and everyone knows that I've been really consistent with this point of, if players are all having their day, they're all playing 10 out of 10, he is our best midfielder. I've been really, really constant on that. But, the ceiling is super high, but the floor, I feel like, is gotten a little bit lower, where when he's having a bit of a stinker, and players are allowed to have stinkers, they're not going to be 10 out of 10 every single week. The floor seems to drop further and further with him. And, what you witnessed of Bentancur the other night for Uruguay was more so towards the ceiling of his performances, and they're very, very good. And sometimes going away on an international break to freshen yourself up really, really helps. So I've always had the attitude of, you reward players not for how they're performing right now. You reward players for what you hope they're going to do over the duration of the contract length. So if you give a 3-year deal, you expect them for 3 years to be a certain level. And I think that's one thing maybe football does a bit differently, like compared to like your NBAs and your NFLs, that they very much don't reward you on your play. They reward you on what they think you're going to do over that duration. Whereas I think in football, they reward you for that play. Hence why you see teams get into all kinds of trouble when it comes to their contracts and things like that. EGC Man United. So I've had this attitude, and I think I'm going to continue and be steadfast in this attitude of, if he was to pick up form and improve and be more consistent with that improvement, and I think it will help, with players coming back being fitter, but also being sharper. It's one thing to be back and fit; it's another thing to be sharp as well. And I think players getting sharper will actually help the players who have been playing for a little while previous to that. It will help the Bentancurs. It should help, your Poros, and it should help your Sons and Bergvals and players like that, right? But I would really want to see Bentancur now just continue that performance level and be consistent with it. Because if so, then yeah, have that contract. But I think right now it's is it warranted? Is it deserved? And there's that question, I guess. I mean, look, you obviously have that situation with Basuma. I think Basuma's done in the summer. I think he's done. I think Basuma, it feels like Basuma knows that he's done as well for some reason. So I think he will be moved on this summer. They obviously then have that question mark surrounding Rodrigo Bentancur. Loving the fuzzy, mate. Appreciate it, mate. I do need a shave. I promise you it will happen at some point. I need to renew a passport, so I need to look a little bit more myself. He's a decent player, Bentancur. He's still getting back after all these setbacks. He was great for Uruguay the other night. Hey, Sean, how are you? We're just talking about a contract extension for Bentancur. How much is Bentancur worth? Well, that's a subjective question. If I had to say, he's a year younger than when Højbjerg was moved on last summer. Obviously, we get Højbjerg's money this summer, don't we? It was a loan with an obligation, so we actually get a chunk of money this summer on Højbjerg. He will be a year younger than Basuma, so I would say in the mid-20s is probably about right for Bentancur. With obviously only got 1 year after his contract, is my thinking. If he can accept to be a squad player / rotation, then fair enough, but not opposed to cashing and getting our money back, and we never sell players for profit. Well, the players that we do sell for profits normally go for really good profits. See Harry Kane. But we need to be better. We need to be better at moving on from players at times. We aren't. And that's one of Paratici's biggest detractors, Talking about, though, Bentancur potentially moving on. So Matteo Moretto was talking about Atletico Madrid in quite a few different manners. They were talking about, players potentially leaving and really what the summer might look like. Inside this article, it was published yesterday afternoon. He says, one of the players Atletico has recently inquired about is Tottenham's Uruguayan Rodrigo Bentancur. He goes on to say, at this point, I can't say there are any real negotiations between the parties, but it's still early. Atletico has had contacts to test the waters ahead of June. Fascinating. That's brilliant, by the way. So nice to read the article and not see it from aggregators. Reading the article, I feel like there's so many aggregators that miss out key little bits of info. Them already having contact is fascinating for me. I think that's why Spurs maybe are, I think there are people within the club that do obviously really like Bentancur, hence why they want to do the contract extension. The only thing I would say about a contract extension is, are you doing it on the basis that Ange is here next year, or are you doing it on the basis that you want to retain value? Because if a new manager comes in, he may not want Bentancur. He may not like the player. He might think he's actually rubbish. Every manager is entitled to their opinion. Well, if that's the case, then you don't extend him, you just sell him. So it feels like a club move, not an Ange move. This feels like a club move. But look, if they have, obviously they were interested in Højbjerg for a little while from us. Obviously, I don't know he's in Marseille now, but they were interested in Højbjerg. So being interested in Bentancur's not a surprise. He feels like a Simeone player. He really, really does. That aggression, the intensity, obviously the South American flavor as well. That feels obviously a massive part of that. So it doesn't shock me actually that Atletico are linked to him. You would have, if you just looked at him as a whole before we even got to him, you'd have thought he probably has come from Atletico because he suits Simeone's system so well. Again, obviously, you're not going to try and sell him on the cheap, but if the offer's good, you might want to consider it. And then I'm not saying get young. Don't bring in like an 18-year-old to then come play central midfield, but get someone in like 22, 23, and then you can have him around for 5, 6, 7 years. Bentancur, look, he's going to be 28 for the start of next season, something like that. He's going to be around for another 3, 4 years, maybe. Having a guy that's going to be around for nearly double that is very, very attractive to me. So we'll sort of see. I didn't go to the Legends game yesterday, mate. No, I was helping my brother move, so I couldn't. Defoe scored a cracking goal. Key scored. Yeah. I did see some really lazy takes. The amount of people going, "Oh, let's give Keane a contract. Give Aaron Lennon a contract." It's like, I know you're joking, but people are going to take you seriously. These guys are great. These guys are old. They are old. All right. This is a Legends game for a reason. Okay. Just saying. Anyway, moving slightly on. Okay. And we're going to talk about a little bit of a quote from Christian Romero. He was talking to some, I think it was an Argentine publication, saying about his recovery from injury. He says, I'm grateful that the national medical team was able to get me out of that bad moment. Sorry? Grateful that the medical team got him out of that bad moment. I'm just going to mind what I say here, but if that doesn't show you the incompetency of our medical team, I really don't know. And by the way, I absolutely love that Romero has found a voice and decided, I'm going to use it. I'm going to put some people on blast that deserve to be on blast. He put Daniel Levy on blast. He's now putting the medical team on blast. He's putting blast on people who are, let's be really nice here, underperforming in their roles. That's the nice way. I'm it's like I'm just leaving a Teams call and I've got to put someone on a pip. They're underperforming in their task. When I have to put them on a performance plan, Romero's just like you're crap. You're crap. I've had to go to a different continent to get help. Because the amount of people going, well, he's not at games very much. It's like, yeah, because he's in Argentina trying to get healthy. Because our medical team seem to absolutely muck him up more and more. I genuinely think they gave the sign off to Romero. They gave a sign off to Ange on Romero to play him against Chelsea. And then he gets injured 15 minutes in because I don't think he was ready to come back and play. He probably needed some time in training. He probably needed to get up to speed. Ange is obviously following medical team chatter. Romero's a guy that wants to play. Lo and behold, bingo bango, he's injured then for another few months. And I think he just went, clearly these guys don't understand how my body works. They don't have a clue. I'm going to have to go back to Argentina and I'm going to work there to get healthy again. That is so telling. It's scary. There's a reason why we keep hiring and firing new medical members because we don't have a clue what's going on there. And it's just bonkers to me. It makes me think of all the injuries that we've had this season. We 12 or 13 injuries at one time. And to be honest, missing 6+ players for about 4 or 5 months, maybe actually longer, probably. Since about September, we've missed 5 or 6 players every single week. And people going, oh, it's on Ange, it's on Ange, it's Ange. Part of me is now starting to think, I don't think Ange is the biggest culprit of it all. I actually really do think it's on the medical team because I think they go, yeah, he's ready to come back and play. And then they get injured within a week. And it's like, I don't think they were ready to come back and play. I think they're still injured. I think they need a couple of weeks in training. But you keep giving the go-aheads and they're going to keep going and getting injured. I mean, I'm not going to use Richarlison example because I just think he had some injury issues at Everton as well. I don't think he's just one of those guys I think breaks down a little bit. But like this season, who's a good one this season? Solanke. I don't think that first injury was on him, but Solanke, you could say maybe the second injury. But more so players who go off, get injured, come back and get injured straight away. I mean, Mickey van der Ven. I don't think Mickey van der Ven for the Elfsport game where he played, you could tell Mickey van der Ven in the Elfsport game, he wasn't right. He wasn't moving very well. And the fact is, obviously, not moving very well, but still the quickest player on the pitch. Says a lot about how good Mickey van der Ven is an athlete. But you could tell he wasn't right. And they probably said, yeah, you can get 45 minutes. And it's like, he looks impaired still. It looks like there's something not right. And lo and behold, 3 or 4 weeks later, he's actually still out injured. I think that's on the medical team. I think it really is. And I think a lot of our injury issues this year, I'm going to put on them more than anyone else. More than players maybe being deemed, quote, injury prone or even Ange's system. I really, really think the medical team have completely mucked up this season because I don't think they truly know. I think they go, yeah, he's all right to come back. And then 2 weeks later, they're injured because they're not ready to come back yet. They need 2 or 3 weeks in training. I think that's why, people getting annoyed about Romero being substituted against Fulham at 0-0 at 68th minute. I don't think he is even near being fit. Now, this is a great question. Argentina versus Brazil is midnight on the 26th of March. So not tomorrow, the day after. Is Romero going to play? I saw reports that Romero might have only played one game this international break, and I think it might obviously have been Uruguay. I wonder if he does play. I think he's on a minutes restriction, to be honest. I think Spurs won't. You can have him, but he's on a minutes restriction. So if that's the case, brilliant. He's going to come back fit and healthy. But it's like, I don't think he was right. And I think Ange kind of realised I can't play him, however many minutes he plays against Bournemouth, to then play him 90 minutes against AZ Alkmaar, to play him 90 minutes then against Fulham. Like, it's within a week he would have played 3 games of football. He probably totaled 220, 230 minutes in the space of a week when he's only just come back from a long-term injury. And it's like, that's why you can't expect Romero to play 90 minutes every week. I get the idea that, well, why isn't Van der Ven brought on? I get that. But again, if it's a case of they didn't want to risk him because they think we'll fight for the longer term than the short term, I do somewhat understand that, if I'm honest. I'd rather Mickey Van der Ven be fit to the end of the season than us run him into the ground to try and get a point against Fulham, You've been saying that about Ange versus medical staff. There you go. What's the Holland-Spain game? Yes. Oh, there was. Do you know what? I had Holland-Spain, I had Germany-Italy, and I had France-Croatia. I had 3 screens. You're on one. I got an iPad there, and I have a TV there. I had 3 games like that. And I was like, Nations League is, don't get me wrong, the Nations League I think is absolute nonsense. Those teams were at it yesterday. They wanted and they were competing, and it was great. It felt like proper meaningful international football. I really actually enjoyed it. I did. So it's cracking. I think at one point I even put Portugal on for extra time as well. I was like, this is brilliant. All these games had goals, goals, and goals. More than any good. Enjoy going to the match yesterday. Good to see players deserving to wear our shirts. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was a good day out. Thought Romero's only played 1 game, potentially said, but it's scored 2 inconsistent. I don't know. Maybe it's injuries. If Spurs can get 2025, let him go. Medical team has always been poor. I heard Spurs are looking to improve the medical department, extending the building for it. Put me in there. Put me in there. I mean, I'll be like, I think his hamstrings are knackered. Maybe let's not play him for a week. He's played a lot of football. Let's maybe not play him tomorrow night, yeah? It's quite easy to spot these ones. Wait for someone to actually take that really seriously, by the way, that last bit. Is Van der Ven playing international? No, he's not in the Dutch squad. He's not in the Dutch squad. Anyway, moving on. Nico Paz flavoured news. Now, Nico Paz has a very odd situation in terms of Real Madrid have a buyback clause for about 3 years straight, and it's very cheap. It's like 8 to 10 million euros. And he's having a really, really good season at Como. I actually watched Milan versus Como recently. It was like last week or the week before, something like that. And you can tell there's a player there. You can just spot it from an absolute mile away that there's a player there, by the way. He is not going to be joining Spurs, okay? So this comes from TBR Football saying, Real Madrid tell Tottenham and Arsenal to forget about signing midfielder who they've been closely following. It goes on to say, Arsenal, Tottenham, Manchester United have been told by Real Madrid to forget about signing Argentine starlet Nico Paz. The teams have been following, obviously, we know that. Real Madrid want to re-sign Nico Paz in 2026. His representatives have been informed by Real Madrid that they've decided the midfielder will not be moving this summer. So I think I look at their deal. I look at what their deal for Nico Paz is, like a loan deal. They're paying Como. I'm going to loan him out to you, and we're going to pay you to do it, but the money's going to come in a couple of years. I think it's a great move for Nico Paz. It's a great move for Real Madrid. I was thinking it's good to get him established because I think like some players like Arda Güler and Endrick, having not been established stars, I think somewhat struggling to get time at Real Madrid. I think even Brahim Diaz obviously played at Man City, goes to Milan, has great success at Milan. Even he's not got the minutes that you would hope for Real Madrid. I mean, look at Ashraf Hakimi, went on a 2-year loan to Dortmund, and he was great at Dortmund, and Real Madrid still weren't that bothered about bringing him back, and they wanted to cash in on him. So it's something they do quite frequently, but I think Nico Paz wowing them is definitely something. I don't know if Ancelotti's going to be there in 2026, so that might raise a question or two, but he's cheap, so they'll probably buy him back, even if it's just to sell him on, but they'll make huge money on him. TBR Football revealed last month that Tottenham scouts really liked what they saw from Paz, and North London club were considering making a move. But both Arsenal and Spurs can forget about landing the youngster who is set for return to Madrid. I mean, 27 games, 12 goals or assist contributions. Really, really solid player. I can't lie. I just, yes. It's just not going to happen. I'm going to be. I'll just flat out say it's. Whenever you see a transfer rumor, it does not mean anything. And this is one of those. It's like it's not happening. He is Real Madrid bound, and even if Spurs go, oh, we've had a bid agreed for 30 million, Real Madrid are going to go, oh, we really don't want to do this, but okay, we'll activate the transfer clause that we have for like 8 million euros. We'll bring him to us now. Hell, we even might activate it or loan him straight back to Como for another season. It's just you're not going to get him. Real Madrid have you in checkmate if you try and make a move on him. All right, and you got any good news in between sets at the gym? Oh, what are you training today? What are you training today? It was hamstrings day for me today. Working on the legs. Got to get in shape for summer holidays. If you've been around from a sort of subscriber on the channel for a while now, you'll remember I've been on holiday and they had funky curtains right behind me. I'm back there again this summer in Spain. Doing some scouting. I'll be in Malaga, the Liga Segunda. I'll be there scouting players ahead for Spurs next season. I won't be. I'm just joking. I'm just going on holiday. Spurs rumoured for Mallet from Dortmund. I haven't really seen much there. Jazz, send it in the Discord. By the way, if you do want to join the Discord, I forgot to say it. I think you already have. No, Jazz says something else. Hayden Hackney. What a surprise. We've been linked to him about a gazillion times. But yeah, if you do want to join us and you want to see that Jazz sends me transfer rumours, it's in there. Join us. If Spurs manage 50 million for Bissouma and Medical, that'd be great to reinvest. Jesus, a left back finally. Nah, I don't think you're going to get 50 million. I don't. I think you get max 40. Max 40. Do you think Ben Davies will get a contract extension bearing in mind Dragić's situation? It's a good question, actually. That's a great question. Ben, obviously, being out of contract this summer, has the option to extend for a year, which I expect them to pick up, if I'm honest. Because even selling him, I look at teams who could come up from the Championship, right? So, quick look at the Championship table. I know Leeds. I know what it kind of looks like, but obviously playoff teams is what I'm looking at. So you've got Leeds and Sheffield United, who are the top two. They get automatic. Burnley are 2 points behind. So really, that top three are fighting for the top two positions. Burnley are 9 points clear of fourth. So Burnley will be in the playoffs. They are 21 points clear of seventh. So they're in the playoffs. You know that. But let's say the way it finishes, Leeds and Sheffield United both come up, which by the way, I want fresh teams. I mean, Coventry being in the playoff and Sunderland being in the playoffs. I mean, Bristol City being on the edge of the playoffs. It's like these new teams. And, Sunderland's not new, I know, but Sunderland's not been in the Premier League for a while. But Coventry, I'd love Coventry to come up. Bristol City would be class, something a bit different. But back to my point. Leeds United, Sheffield United, and Burnley. Let's say those three teams come up. You already know Ben Davies would start probably for these teams. You'd make money out of him. 100%. I think you make money. I mean, I look at like your lower league, Premier League sides. They'd be all, Everton, I think they would take Ben Davies. Don't know why. It just feels like it feels like that move. West Ham probably would, but they're not going to get him. There's thumbs up. You're welcome. So I don't know, but I think there'll be teams in and around the Premier League that would love to sign Ben Davies. So I think that's why you'll extend him with the option, and then just weigh up your options. I think that's the move. Regarding medical staff, I'm surprised Ange is not suggesting Australian sports scientists to beat the Yanks at swimming, a four-man pursuit plus the best rugby league comp. It wouldn't surprise me. Dude, Shoulders Day, Saturday was led. Oh, I love that. Shoulders start off for weeks. Great way to do it. Great way to do it. Shoulders, though, you got to keep your intensity on it. Don't just listen to me. Put some high BPM music on. Keep the intensity up. Shoulders are one of those that you can do that for. Honestly, I'd like to see what Motta could do with Spurs, as he's now a free manager, so we don't have to pay Juve to release a fee. What a debacle, sorry, that is Juventus. That is an absolute crapshoot, a situation. They're selling all their best youngsters. This is a club decision, sell the youngsters. They bring in Motta, they give him a massive contract. To get rid of him, they're paying tens of millions to get rid of him. What on earth has happened at that club? Juve really have just fallen through the floor. They're just such a meh team in Italy. And you know, them in Milan should be the big boys. You know, they should be up there with Inter and Napoli. They should be fighting for the title. Hell, they're barely fighting for the Champions League spot. I don't know what's happened there. And you know, I think maybe Juve relied way too much on, you know, the Chiellinis, the Bonucci's, the Buffons, the Mercisios, the Pirlos, and they never truly replaced them. I think they looked at Pogba as the guy that was going to be their midfielder for a decade plus, and obviously he then went back to Man United. But again, making 85 million on Paul Pogba, brilliant. We can go and buy 3 or 4 players with that money, and I don't think they ever really truly have recruited that well for a long time. Yeah, absolute crapshoot of a club at the moment. But look, anyway, regardless, we'll sort of see. I mean, selling Kulusevski for as cheap as they did, look what happened. There's so many mistakes. There's so many mistakes they've made as a club recently. They need to get some proper good football people back in charge again. I think go get Fabio Paratici, bring him back in, let him sign some players for you. It'd probably help a little bit at least. But yeah, you know, wherever the owner is, the guy that was twerking for the Super League, the guy needs to sort himself out. Same for Kulu and Bentancur for how cheap they did. I think combined. I don't think they cost 60. I actually think it cost a lot less. I think it cost about 50. Maybe 60 in total with the loan deals, but I think it's about 50. Is Lang going to get sacked? No. No. Did you see Pirlo's free kick at Spurs? Well, yeah, Pirlo's free kick against Spurs the other night. Brilliant free kick. Absolutely magnificent free kick. I feel like he's the kind of guy that could easily, not now, but like I feel like he retired and he could definitely still play in Saudi or the MLS and just tear it up still. There's no, I've watched actually some Saudi football recently because I was waiting for a game to start and I was like, this is crap. What is this quality of football? You know, Pirlo would tear that league up still now. You know, but regardless, look, we'll see about Bentancur. We'll see about the contract extension. I think there is a conversation to have. If you can get a good offer this summer, I think you have to consider selling him. I don't know if you will get that offer. I don't think his form this season has warranted such an offer. We'll see about that, but obviously leading into a contract extension. He'll be in his late 20s. We'll sort of see. But again, it's like, let's see what you do over the next couple of months, in my opinion. You know, that's what my attitude is. On Paz, obviously, we know it's not going to happen. Romero's quotes are damning against the medical side of things. And we've got to be worried about that. We have to be worried about that. That, you know, the medical team that are employed to work with these guys day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, don't really know how to get players fit and keep them fit. That's a worry. I definitely feel like the coaching side of things have probably made some changes in their own attitude and approach, e.g., see the Fulham game to kind of go, we need to, whatever they say, take off 20, 30 minutes. Or just don't risk them. I think they probably just went, hey, Romero can play 90 minutes against Fulham, and I think Ange probably went, I don't know if he can, so he's not going to. Max 70 minutes, 65, 70 minutes, then he's off. I don't care. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Cafu would tell this leagues absolutely. Has Bentancur done enough to get a new contract? Personally, no, but I think there's a lot of questions, in this, and it's something that I said earlier. It's like, is this a club move or is this an Ange move? Because we don't know if Ange is going to be here next season, right? And they're talking about giving a guy a contract extension. But what if the new manager doesn't like him? This is a club decision. This isn't an Ange decision. Hi, mate. Join the Discord group. Oh, nice one, Chris. Welcome to the Discord. Welcome to the bloody Discord, mate. Yeah, I see you. There you go. I've reacted to it. Nice one, mate. Welcome. Just be ready to deal with Jazz. Talks enough crap. Is there any rumor about Maddison falling out of Ange have any real weight? You hear it pop up in 2-3 months. I just kind of ignore it, to be honest. I kind of ignore it. I think people get all twisted about it, and my attitude is, I think Ange is more so because he doesn't start every game. It's like I think Ange is more so protecting Maddison from himself. He has injury issues, and I think Ange has tried to manage him in a way where we come to this really crucial part of our season, and he's still fit, and that I think Ange was thinking long term. Let's try and keep Maddison around. We know how big and important Maddison is. Let's try and keep him around. So there's my thinking, at least. I need a haircut. Jesus wept. Is Mikey Moore? There's a thumbs up. Is Mikey Moore leaving? No, he's not, Sofian. No, mate, he's not. Anyway, that's me. I've got to go and walk a dog. So thank you very much for joining me this morning. Go and enjoy the rest of your days, your mornings, your afternoons, your evenings, wherever in the world. Obviously, England play later tonight. So, 7:45, if you want to watch a little bit of English football, it'll be there. But anyway, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to be doing the International Players Roundup, telling you about how everyone's done out and about on international duty. Thanks very much, guys. Take care. I'll see you all soon. Peace.